A taste of French hospitality for Chinese President Xi Jinping as his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron takes him to one of his beloved childhood haunts in the Pyrenees Mountains. Well, their trip to the village of Bagnes-de-Bigorre and the adjacent resort of La Mongeur follows a day of exchanges between the two leaders and other officials in Paris. Bilateral trade, the exchange of technology expertise, as well as Russia's invasion of Ukraine, are issues expected to remain high on the agenda during their excursion. Well, CNA's Tan Chuyi with more.
这是我要送你的一些图书。这是这个中国翻译的法国的小说。这是中文的法国小说。
A French culture enthusiast, as Chinese state media would call it. President Xi Jinping gifted the Chinese translations of several classic French novels to his French host, including 93 by Victor Hugo, all part of what analysts called a charm offensive in Europe. But behind closed doors on Monday, Mr. Xi, flanked by close confidant Cai Qi and longtime Foreign Minister Wang Yi, told his French and European counterparts that there is no such thing as China's overcapacity problem, whether it's viewed from the perspective of comparative advantage or global market demand, according to Chinese state media. During his three-way talks with French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, without naming names, Mr. Xi also said China-EU relations should not be dependent on or dictated by any third party. Despite the firm language, analysts said it's hard to miss what the Chinese leader was aiming to achieve with his first trip to Europe in 5 years. That's especially when putting side by side the performance in Paris and his recent meetings with other European and American leaders.
Xi in particular in this visit has brought a carrots approach. So he's offering greater market access to France in particular, but more broadly to the EU countries. He's clearly trying to entice the EU to be more engaging on trade, as Chancellor Scholz was in his visit to China last month, where he was talking about a pro-free trade, pro-engagement policy, which is music to the ears of Beijing and sounds very different than the signals you get coming out of Washington these days, particularly Secretary Yellen's visit last month to Beijing, where she was talking about overcapacity, and that was at the very top of the U.S. agenda vis-a-vis China.
Meanwhile, both Mr. Macron and Ms. von der Leyen pledged to defend Europe's strategic interests in its economic relations with China.
I am convinced that if the competition is fair, we in Europe will have thriving, durable economies that will support more good jobs. But of course, today we also discussed the imbalances that remain significant. And this is a matter of great concern.
Back home in China, Mr. Xi's trip, which marks the 60th anniversary of China-France ties and ahead of the 50th anniversary of China-EU relations, received blow-by-blow live coverage on domestic media. Projecting himself as a world leader who's able to handle China's relations with major countries, the Chinese leader said he supports Mr. Macron's idea of a truce in all conflicts, including Ukraine, during the Paris Olympics this summer.
作为联合国安理会常任理事国和负责任大国，中国愿同法方一道，以巴黎奥运会为契机，倡议运动会期间全球停火止战。
As part of his 5-day tour in Europe, President Xi will also pay state visits to Serbia and Hungary.